How are you? Good, good. Some people not quite so sure. A few thumbs up. That's good. We'll take the thumbs up. Well, I don't know about you, but I find change kind of hard. And this is a story about a young boy who's like first or second grade. Anyone here in second grade? Anyone here been in second grade? You're in second grade, so you're not is he's in second grade, so you might relate to this story. Well, this poor boy, his family had to move when he was starting second grade. And so he ended up in second grade, and he wasn't the most outgoing boy. He was quite shy. And he got to school, and he was okay in the first grade at his last school because he had a few friends, but he got to the school and he did not know anybody. And he was there, and no one was really making an effort to speak to him, and that just made him even shyer. And he liked his teacher. His teacher was good, but he still felt he had no friends, so he would sit in the at the playground. He would just sit in the swing and just watch all the other children play, and he felt that just made him feel even more isolated. And so he was really struggling, and then it came round to Valentine's Day. And in the class, he went into Valentine's Day, but no one had told him that you're supposed to bring cards so he could make Valentine's cards for people. So all the children were rushing around making Valentine's cards and giving them to people. But no one was giving any to him. So he just sat there and he felt even more lonely. And they were all, giving cards, and there was such an excitement, and he was just making him feel sadder and sadder. And then he noticed there was all this candy on the teacher's desk. He thought, I wonder what that's for. So they went to recess. They went out into playtime and they were playing. And he realized it was kind of cold because it was around February, and it was a little cold. He found his ears were getting cold, and he was just sitting in the swing. He wasn't running around. So he said, I'll go back to the class and get my hat. And he went back to the class, and there was no one there. His hat was there, but all the Valentine cards were there, and all the Valentine's candy was there. And he was feeling so sad, and he was feeling so angry with people. He took the cards, and he took the candy, and he ran off to the bathroom, and he just started eating all the candy, and he was not feeling good. So all the children and the teacher came back from the playtime, and they saw, where's the candy gone? Where's all our cards gone? Where's Max? A young boy. So the teacher was a bit concerned, so he thought, I'll keep the children busy. He said, I'll give them really difficult math problems. That will keep them busy. Because we all love math, don't we? No? I actually did, but that was probably just me. So they were doing the math problems, so the teacher went off to look for Max. And he couldn't find him, then she heard crying from the bathroom, and he went in, and he saw Max sitting there with the candy and the cards. And he said, what's wrong, Max? He said, well, I feel so lonely. No one plays with me. I didn't know about the Valentine's card. No one gave me Valentine's card. So I know I shouldn't have taken those. But I just felt so bad. I was so angry. And the teacher looked at him and said, that's understandable. I'm sorry about that. I realize I probably should have paid a little bit more attention to you as a new child. Said, do you think you want to go back to class? He said, no, I can never go back to class. She said, well, you can't go back to class today. But maybe tomorrow. Let me call your parents. So she called his parents. His parents came and picked him up and took him home. And the teacher went in and said, I've got a plan. And she went back and told the children what happened. And they all started working on something. So the next day, Max woke up, and he didn't really want to go to school because he was kind of embarrassed. When we make mistakes, we feel terrible about ourselves. And so he was feeling really bad. He said, I'm not going to school. I can never go to school. And the parents said, you will go to school. It'll get better. So he went to school. And then he got into school, and there was a big card at his desk saying, from your new friends. And the teacher had actually got all the children to make this card, and they all signed it. And then they had cupcakes with my new friend on it. And so Max felt a little bit better. And they realised that that was going to be a tradition they started. Because when new people come, it can be really difficult. So they decided, well, we're always going to welcome people with a card and cake, because it's really hard to change. And Max, not everyone became his friend right away, but some of them became their friends. I think sometimes we do that. We make mistakes and we feel really bad, and we make it really, really hard on ourselves. But sometimes it takes someone else to reach out. And we're talking today about compassion, and that's when you notice someone else is really not feeling well or hurting, but you're willing to do something. And that's what the teacher in the class did for Max, so that he felt welcome. So if there's any new children here today, you're going to make them feel welcome? Yep. Yes. Thank you so much. It's time for your religious education class now. I invite you to join me in the spirit of prayer. These words are from Reverend Vanessa Southern, who's the Unitarian Universalist minister in San Francisco. So much undone, so much to do, so much to heal in us and the world, so much to acquire: a meal, a healthy body, a fit one, a lover, a job, a better job. Proof we have and are enough just around the corner of now. And up against it, the reality of all that falls short and the limits of today. We honor the limits. If your body won't do what it used to for right now, let it be enough. If your mind won't stop racing or you can't think of the word, let it be enough. If you are here utterly alone and in despair, be all that here with us. If today you cannot sing because your throat hurts, or you don't have the heart for music, be silent. When the offering was asked for, if you didn't have money to give or the heart to give, that is okay. Let the basket pass. The world won't stop spinning on her axis if you don't rise to all occasions today. Love won't cease to flow in your direction. Your heart won't stop beating. All hope won't be lost. You're part of the plan for the world's salvation. Of that, I have no doubt. The world needs its oceans of people striving to be good, to carry us to the shore of hope and wash fear from the beachheads, and cleanse all wounds so they can heal. But oceans are big, and I am sure there are parts that don't feel up to the task of the whole someday. Rest if you must. Like the swimmer lying on her back who floats, or the hawk carried on cushions of air. Rest in pews, made to hold weary lives in space carved out for the doing of nothing much but being. Perhaps then you will feel in your bones, in your weary heart, the aching, healing sense that this is enough. Even this, that we are enough. You are enough. Enough. I invite you to join me in a time of silence.
I have an inner critic in my head, a voice that tells me I'm fat, I'm lazy, I'm selfish. She really is a jerk. I've named her Marge. I'm not a fan. And I've found that telling Marge to just get lost and leave me alone is not that effective. It works better if I take some time to pause and feel the pain that Marge has inflicted. I acknowledge the emotions and let them be. I don't try to make them go away. Instead, I feel the feelings and say to myself, "It's okay, dear Lizzie, to be ashamed. Lots of people have these feelings. You aren't alone." I might even hold myself in the place where the shame lives in my body, or put my hand on my heart or on my face, and I say, "Dear Lizzie, even if you are fat and lazy and selfish, I still love you, no matter what you are." I learned this practice from Kristen Neff, author of Self-Compassion, The Proven Power of Being Kind to Yourself. She teaches that self-compassion has 3 steps: mindfulness, noticing your feelings without trying to make them go away; self-kindness, treating yourself as you would a dear friend; and common humanity, remembering that you're not alone. For me, speaking to myself in the 3rd person and putting my hand on my heart really helps. It softens Marge's voice. I'd like to invite you to try this. I invite you to close your eyes, cast them down. Take 2 deep breaths with me. Place 1 or 2 hands on your heart, your abdomen, your face. You might give yourself a hug or simply hold your own hand. Our eyes are closed, so no one can see you. But if this feels awkward, that's fine. Don't do it. Now, in your mind, say to yourself, "Dearest me," or you can use your own name. "Dearest Lizzie, you're doing the best you can, and it's okay to give yourself the grace you give to others." Let's try one more time. "Dearest me, you're doing the best you can, and it's okay to give yourself the grace you give others." You can open your eyes. Take a moment. Notice how you feel. It doesn't always help. Sometimes the voice is just as loud as ever. The key for me is not expecting the feelings to go away. Instead, just sitting with the emotions and comforting myself like a good friend would. It helps me to keep moving forward. The Buddha once said, "You can search throughout the entire universe for someone who is more deserving of your love and affection than you are yourself. And that person is not to be found anywhere." You yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. So the next time your inner critic, your Marge, starts putting you down, I invite you to try these steps and see if they help. I have found that there is no getting rid of Marge. But self-compassion can go a long way to helping me live peacefully with her in my head.
I thought since it was the ice cream social today, we'd have an especially long service. Because I think things are better if you have to wait longer. So. One of the opening lines of the song from William, the lyrics by William Blake is, "Can I see another's woe and not be in sorrow too? Can I see another grief and not seek for kind relief?" I think that's one of the keys about compassion. We sometimes get mixed up about compassion. It's just the way we feel. But there's a call to action with compassion. We want to alleviate the suffering of another. And that's one of the keys to compassion. And the fact that compassion is prevalent in most of the major religions In Buddhism, the Dalai Lama says, compassion is my religion. The fact is there, it says there's something essential to the human experience, something essential to the structure of humanity, that compassion is held up such an important part in so many cultures. And there's a story from the Hindu, both a Hindu and a Buddhist story, and it's about two monks, and they're trying to cross a river, and there's a scorpion that one of the monks sees, and the older monk picks it up to rescue it, because scorpions can't swim. And I didn't know that, but according to Buddhists and Hindus, scorpions can't swim. Picks it up, and it stings him, and he drops it. Picks it up again. It stings him again. And he thought, So he goes and gets a stick, gets the scorpion in the stick, takes it to the bank, places it in the bank. And the younger monk says to the older monk who had rescued the scorpion, it didn't appreciate what you were doing. Why did you keep doing it? It kept stinging you even though you were trying to rescue it. And the older monk said, that is the nature of scorpions, to sting. It's the nature of humans to show compassion and act. He says, if I enter water, I will get wet. The nature of water is wet. See that tree over there? Anyone can sit under its shade. The tree asks if you are young or old, good or evil, human or animal. It will provide everyone and anything with its shade because of its nature. Similarly, the nature of the scorpion is to sting. So it's nothing to take offense in. Our true nature is to be compassionate towards all living beings, just like the tree serves all living beings without discrimination. I think it's important to distinguish compassion from pity, because compassion is not a sentimental benevolence. And Rabbi Esther Adler talks about this hierarchy of responses we encounter. Pity says, I see your pain. Sympathy says, I understand your pain. Empathy says, I feel your pain. Compassion says, I am with you in your pain and I will help. Compassion says, I am with you in your pain and I will help. So true compassion has that call to action to alleviate suffering. So what does that mean about self-compassion? What action do we take to help with our self-compassion? It's not enough to just have compassion. We need to act on it. And you heard beautifully from Liz in her reflection, that inner critic that we all have. I think most of our inner critics are mean. I actually thought Lizzie's was quite easy on her compared to my inner critic. And I think it especially happens when we slip into judgment. How often do we judge ourselves for our mistakes? Perhaps our less than gracious attitudes, behaviors to others. We've really just come to the end of the Jewish high holidays of Yom Kippur and Rosh Hashanah. Yom Kippur was in the 1st and 2nd of October. And that's a time, those 10 days of the Jewish high holidays, is a time of self-reflection, repentance and repair and seeking forgiveness and making amends. And I've talked many times here about the model of Jewish forgiveness, where it's acknowledge wrongdoing, apologize, make amends, and do better the next time. But the other thing that's stressed within the Jewish tradition is also that compassion for ourselves. Because it's only through having compassion for ourselves we can be truly honest about those areas that we need to work on. As long as we've got that critic, we're probably going to hide some of the things that we do need to work on. And Andrea Gibson says that those who do the most growing in this life are those who offer the most compassion to the parts of themselves that have not yet grown. Those who do the most growing in this life are those who offer the most compassion to the parts of themselves that have not yet grown. And we also have to distinguish between that harsh self-scrutiny, because there's a degree of that analysing ourselves and trying to do better that's actually quite healthy. We can all do better today than we did yesterday. We can all do better tomorrow than we did today. But we have to be compassionate of ourselves and not expecting perfection. Perfection is not helpful. We are all works in progress, and we all will be works in progress. But one of the things with self-compassion is that action. What action can we do to help our self-compassion, to address that inner critic? Liz mentioned those actions that Dr. Kristin Neff mentions. Self-kindness instead of criticizing yourself. Because I think most of us know our compassion, it's easy to be compassionate to others. It's harder to be compassionate to ourselves because we know every single fault, every single concern, every single struggle we have. We look at people's Facebook and we see their highlight reels and compare it to our inner self, and there's no comparison. They are much better people than I am. So that self-kindness to ourselves is an important starting point for self-compassion. I remember a friend of mine got really angry with another friend who was really criticizing herself quite harshly. And she said to her, "You stop treating my friend like that." You stop treating my friend like that. And perhaps that's what we need to say to ourselves. I think we are far harder on ourselves than we are to most other people. So self-kindness is the first thing. The second thing is recognizing our common humanity, and Liz did that quite beautifully in her practice, and realizing I make mistakes. I don't live as well as I could, just like all of you. That's our common humanity, to be imperfect. And there's that connection, because I think what happens with self-pity is you go inside and you become isolated and see yourself alone. That's where self-pity takes you. By seeing your common humanity, it takes you beyond yourself. And I think through that makes it easier for self-compassion. And the third thing, as Liz mentioned, was mindfulness. Finding a way of identifying, noting, paying attention to the struggles you have going on internally, but responding rather than reacting. When most of us react, we're not generally at our best. If we can respond from a place of grace, from a place of kindness, from a place of compassion, we will treat ourselves and others better. There's a model that Dr. Kristin Neff recommends. It's STOP. It's an acronym. Like when you're finding that critic is just beating you up, you stop what you're doing, you take a deep breath, observe your thoughts and feelings with little judgment, and proceed with kindness towards yourself. STOP. That's an action we can take to increase our self-compassion. And the research that Dr. Neff has done is associated with lower levels of stress, depression, and even increased motivation to change. Our UU value of equity states that every person is inherently worthy and right to flourish with dignity and compassion. That applies to you as well as others. Do you truly believe that you are inherently worthy and have the right to flourish with dignity and compassion? If not, that's maybe where we all need to start, recognizing that we are deserving of flourishing. Because our other Unitarian Universalist value says, living our shared UU values through the spiritual discipline of love. What would it mean to make a spiritual discipline of love, of holding ourselves in love, kindness, and compassion? What if we made that a discipline? I think it could help us maintain a balanced awareness of our emotions and our experiences without over-identifying with any of them. That would allow us to create caring, respectful relationships with others and ourselves. And I'd like to finish with the words of the great Irish poet John O'Donoghue. He says this, he says, self-compassion is paramount. When you are compassionate with yourself, you trust in your soul, which you let guide your life. Your soul knows the geography of your destiny better than you do. Your soul knows the geography of your destiny better than you do. May we all have the compassion to listen to our souls and live into it today and the days ahead.